I don't think anybody in Halloween 3's fucked their sister.
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes. Like a doll's eyes.
I love this town!
Hello, city!
Hi, welcome to City of Geek Podcast, Episode 3.
Yay!
Talking all about Halloween series. We're just going to go through all 10 movies, 11
Jason
soon.
Voorhees, so it's going to be a great day.
Oh yeah, I like it when he's, it's like when Han's on the USS Enterprise. Like, it's my favorite part of
When
Babylon
he's
5.
haunting people's dreams,
Totally.
locking them up in those traps.
With that chainsaw, too.
With the chainsaw. And the chainsaw's best damn part.
Yeah, always. I like the way it talks. It sings.
It's an award-winning chainsaw, right?
But we are here to talk about the Halloween series, since then the 11th entry is coming out, or second entry times 3 coming out in a few weeks.
Keep track.
What, the fourth timeline?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
If you include Halloween 3 as its own.
That's true. If Halloween 3 is its standalone shenanigans, then yeah, I believe this is the fourth timeline.
Or so right now it's Sundance the 8th. We're putting this out on the 15th, and the movie comes out just a few days after this comes out. So we got a good week before things between us recording and the release of this podcast. So we're gonna skip the normal news section that we've been talking about, things that have come out recently, because everything will be kind of old hat and we'll discuss by the time you listen to this. With the exception of one thing we wanted to bring up for our good friends at Crypticon.
Woo!
Yay! We have the first guest was announced this past week, Dee Wallace, who we've all seen in so many things. I think she's
fantastic.
been there before.
She's been there before, yeah.
Yeah.
I was very impressed. Also, thank you, Crypticon, for sharing us across all of
Yeah.
Yes,
Thanks,
we
Dave.
love you, Crypticon.
So we're talking about the Halloween series, and before we get to individual movies, like, what are you guys' impression on the series as a whole, including 3 and the remakes, and just someone says, just tell me about Halloween. What are your thoughts?
Halloween for me always was AMC related, because that's where I first saw them, was on the AMC Fear Fest. They were really the first slasher film I really sat through. Even though I wound up liking Nightmare on Elm Street a bit more, typically is my second go-to. Donald Pleasance has always been great. God damn right. I guess, it's pretty much the slasher series, I would say, even more so than Friday the 13th. Because I think the Friday the 13th, they never really made a good one outside of the 1980s. I feel
You're
like
wrong. Outside the 80s, okay.
They've made a good Halloween in like every decade.
Jason's Takes Manhattan is a masterpiece.
That was in the 80s, and that was a masterpiece.
It's fun.
It's like 89 or something.
Yeah,
1989.
Yeah, it was just barely in the 80s.
Yeah, I'm more of a
tail end.
Still counts.
It's definitely I would say probably the go-to. It's Michael Myers is pretty much as ingrained as Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger is, probably even more so. And you've got that horror pedigree behind it too, with John Carpenter being so behind it. It kind of has that double pack. Because you look at this works for Nightmare because they got Craven, but like Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah, there's
Cunningham kind of comes and goes, and Steve Miner kind of comes and goes.
He lost the rights to it to Victor Miller, but to not get off topic. Yeah. But I think Halloween definitely drips with that Halloween atmosphere, hence the name. But you definitely do get a lot of they're really just atmospheric. They really do drip with Halloween. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. As with all series, they go off the fucking rails at points.
But unlike other series, it kind of self-correct a little bit, but then off.
If I think about it, it's 5 timelines. The one that they're doing now, the original one that ended with Jamie Lloyd, the one with H2O, the one with Rob Zombie, and then if you count Halloween 3. That's 5.
If you count Halloween 3, then yes, it's 5. But I think before when we were counting, we were saying 4 with Halloween.
Yeah. I count Halloween 3 in its own. I'll get into that later, because they are watching the first Halloween.
It exists in its universe.
It does exist in that universe. So.
That's their connection to it, yeah.
Yeah.
But that part of that was because they never intended to return to Michael Myers after.
Nope, not even close. But That'll be a part for part 3 in the mustache.
Yeah, we'll get to that. It's like, of course, Halloween 3 being it.
Speaking of which, if Crypticon, if you're listening, bring Tom Atkins there.
Please.
If you do that, and you let me touch his mustache.
If he lets you touch his mustache.
Does he still have a mustache?
I don't know. He might.
I've seen recent pictures of him.
Okay.
I stalk him. Just like...
Lightly. Yeah, it's important.
Paparazzi style.
That photo of him with the women on the lawn chairs, that's actually his stalking.
Yep.
I didn't actually see... The first Halloween that I saw was H2O in the theaters, because that's how old I am. But I hadn't seen any of the Halloweens before. I was raised on slashers, but I was raised on Friday the 13th, because I used to watch USA. And USA Up All Night. And so they played, like, the Child's Plays, they played the Friday the 13th, but they didn't play the Halloween movies. And so, but I will say, and I dug H2O, and I kind of wanted to go back and get context for it. And I started watching Fright Fest, and that was around the time they started playing parts 4, 5 obsessively.
That was the first one I saw, was 4.
Yeah.
Just on randomly.
And so I saw them completely out of order. Like, it was a while before I saw...
I think 2 was my first one.
Yeah, and it was a while before I got back to part 1. But then there's something about them that's stuck with me even more so. Before that, Friday the 13th was kind of that was my nostalgic film. Like, I used to watch the marathons. They used to run the Friday the 13th marathons every Friday the 13th, and so I'd watch them just obsessively. And at some point, Halloween became my, like, favorite slasher. If I had to return to a franchise, I never got tired of returning to it. And strangely enough, and we'll get to this when we talk about part 3, part 3 is the one that never super gelled with me, partially because I like Michael Myers, and I don't... When I first saw it, and I knew that he wasn't a part of it, but it annoyed me still. And so I don't think I've given it a fair chance as a result. But no, it's a series that I'd say if I had to pick a favorite slasher series, it's probably Halloween.
So I think it might be in the minority here, because actually, if you come to the 3 major slasher series of Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Halloween, I think actually Halloween ultimately is my least favorite of the 3. Now, Halloween 1, I think, is the...
Yeah.
Out of the 3 series, it has the best movie by far.
Right.
I disagree with that. I think the original Nightmare on Elm Street is better, but...
I put Nightmare on Elm Street a little below there, but...
I would respectfully disagree with that, too, but that's for another podcast. The Clash of the Slashers.
Which could be a fun topic.
That could be a fun topic.
And so as much I think the Halloween is almost a perfect movie. I think the sequels have been really hit or miss. I think mostly miss. And I love Myers. I love the way he looks and the way he moves, but there's a lesser quality to him, I think, than... There's more personality coming out of Force Freddy, obviously. And out of the Jasons, if you... I guess it's a hockey mask, the way he moves, the way he does this. But I appreciate Michael being almost like lesser in a way, like he's more in the shadows than Jason and Freddy, who are out there. Like,
and the
there's
blankness
Jason right
of the
there.
face is part of what I think is scary, is being able to kind of project onto that blankness whatever you want.
Exactly.
I would say that part of it because I don't find Jason to be a particularly, for me, as well drawn a character. It's more that he has a more compelling backstory.
Yeah,
because he has a backstory, whereas with Michael Myers, originally all you know about him is he's the freak that killed his sister. And then they retconned that Laurie was his sister, but that wasn't a part of the original one.
And then old Rob Zombie makes him up as fucking redhead.
Right. But what part of what Rob Zombie did, which I realize we're jumping around and saying this.
I think maybe it's best if we just do that anyway.
But, is that Michael Myers does not... I mean, like, Freddy Krueger has beyond the fact that he can talk, so he has a very distinct character.
Yeah.
Jason has a very distinct backstory. Michael Myers never really did.
Yeah.
We knew this little piece of thing about him, and that he was institutionalized.
And that's it.
And really, he lived through Donald Pleasance. Yeah, Dr. Loomis was our gateway to Michael, and so I think that that in terms of consistency, like, he's had putting aside the druid stuff. Which never is really made clear.
I don't think they've even thought about it.
No, I was reading an article actually with the writers that were kind of like, yeah, we weren't really actually told to do anything with it, and then we made it be someone else's problem. because of his like blankness a little bit, he's human.
Yeah.
He is fully human, where Freddy's not.
Yeah, that's
Jason's God knows what's going on with him. We don't actually know what the fuck is going on with Jason Voorhees.
That's a confusing thing. Just like 1 second side note, like he goes from being a kid to like this full grown, just like Michael Myers does stay that human.
Yeah.
Granted, he does get cartoonishly Jason like kind of in the end.
Yeah.
But, like that's the thing I think that scared me because the Halloween films were genuinely scary to me as a kid.
Because he was always a actual human boogeyman.
Yeah.
He was that guy breaking into someone's house and killing everybody, as opposed to, I mean, again, you're falling asleep in this Nightmare Man or whatever.
You're out camping
whatever the
and
fuck Jason Voorhees is.
And you just wander into his campground. Yeah.
By the time you hit Jason X, we're really not sure.
And that doesn't really matter because those are more directly campy and cartoony as they go along.
Yeah, but it never really gets addressed. Why? Like, part 2 tries to treat Jason as somewhat human. And they kind of brush over the fact that he was supposed to have drowned as a child. They're just like,
Pamela's just insane and didn't really see.
Right? They okay.
He's been living in the woods.
Let's go with that.
That's a different series. So
let's go with that. But it's I think that's some of the appeal of Michael Myers to me, because it comes back to, at least as a woman, what scares me is not a lot of movies scare me, but home invasion films scare me.
Oh yeah.
And that of all of your typical slasher characters, because again, I don't have any plans to be in Texas anytime soon with somebody, with a bunch of rednecks and chainsaws. Michael Myers is the most likely to happen.
Exactly. That's one thing I do. That's one thing I really appreciate about the series, especially with the first one, where he is the boogeyman. He just randomly picks somebody to stalk and kill her friends.
And gets fixated about it.
Because she happened, talking about this the first movie, she'd happened to be walking around the house and walk up to the door, put down the key and walk away.
Yeah.
And then he just shows up, right, like he's like in their neighborhood. You don't know when Loomis and Brackett are walking around, they don't know where he is. They don't know what house he's in, but he's somewhere. He's, death has come to your little town, sheriff. Yeah. But it isn't something you go seeking out. He just came home and started killing people.
Right. And she happened to drop the key off at his house.
That's why.
And that's
she's
why.
Being the victim in this case.
And that's it's a terrifying thing to think somebody is going to fixate on you and your friends and your family because
of just some random, like, you're in the wrong place.
You're in the wrong place at the wrong time.
And then you're in your friend's house. You're babysitting. And you're in a safe location. Yeah. And then this person just comes in and kills you.
Kind of like the Strangers almost, at the end when they're like, because you were home.
Because you were home.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's to me, that's scary. But I do think it's interesting. So I from part 1 to part 2, and the suddenly making Laurie his sister, which I actually, for as much shit as Rob Zombie gets for his Halloween movies, I don't dislike them. I don't like them as part of the Halloween franchise, but as their own thing, I do find them ridiculous. Oh, yeah. But they're entertaining enough. And he did do some interesting things with them, and one of them being when they drew the connection to making Laurie the sister, it just started to get kind of like, okay, again, we get that you killed your first sister, but why are you now fixated on your second sister? And there's the one clip in part 2 where they show her visiting him in the hospital, which doesn't make sense on a lot of levels.
First 2 TV version, or going back to the Halloween 2 Rob Zombie one?
Going back, or no, not Rob Zombie. No, this was Jamie Lee Curtis in the hospital having this like sudden epiphany of, oh, I vaguely recall as a child my mother saying we're not your parents, which doesn't match with in part 1. They very much are her parents, and they treat her like that makes no sense.
Yeah.
And why of all of a sudden would she have different parents? He didn't kill his parents, he killed his sister. And if they did have a baby, there's so many...
She could be somewhere, she could be being babysat. Yeah. They don't need to make her adopted, but
it makes... Well, or the implication being that the parents, dumped her or gave her off, where you're like,
one kid killed the other one, so...
Yeah, we're going to wake up and this one's going to be standing over our bed with a knife, and... so that's always been something that connection was always weird. and it got further weird as the movies went on, and the druid thing.
Oh fuck, the thorn.
The thorn.
The Thor, which in part, where do we start seeing? Well, yeah, but it's part 2 is where they start.
I would get that tattoo.
But part 2 is where they start, like, at least dropping it as an idea. Which again, you're like, okay, but if you were never intending to revisit this again, why are you even bringing up some of these concepts? And then part 4 started to, and 5 are just like, oh, here's a random thing we can go off
something,
of.
some weird dude in black.
Yeah.
Just shows up, and I don't remember anything of that in part 4, but definitely mixed in with
part 5 they really start to.
Part 5 is where they,
and 6 is jumped in.
but it's just obvious though that they don't really know what it is they're trying to do.
Absolutely.
They're just like, ooh, tease.
It's trying. Well, I think a lot of that's trying to like build a backstory for him. Build a story, build a reason. Compared to what made him work the first time, there wasn't a reason. He just picked up a knife and killed his sister, then sat catatonic until he decided
to.
Thing.
What I'm kind of curious about then, as horror fans, do we need a backstory for a franchise to continue, or how much of a backstory do you feel like you need as a franchise grows?
Man, I love the Leprechaun movies, and they retcon him every fucking time.
Every time
totally
he's different.
Fine. I mean, like literally, he's just a leprechaun and he winds up in space. That's all I need.
He wants gold. He's in the hood.
Pinhead never had a backstory in Hellraisers
until part 4.
Until they gave him a backstory.
And then 2,
I guess that's what I mean.
it.
A lot of slasher films, or a lot of horror films, start off, and they don't necessarily know they're going to be doing a sequel, so they start off like this, and then as a franchise starts to grow, and you do sequel, and more sequel, and more sequel, you start to give backstory. Should they be doing that at all? Are they able to stick with, no, it was creepy the first time, we don't have to get too much into it, or do you feel like as a viewer you need to dive deeper into a backstory to better appreciate a character?
I think there are some viewers who care. I think one case, I think it depends on the viewer of what they want. Because if they think someone's just killing people for no reason, they're taking out, like, the movie itself is iffy, but Terrifier, which I watched the other day, people are really getting into that. It's like, you don't know any backstory of art. It's like, do I need it? It's a stupid slasher. That's all it is. If try to make I don't know, when you make a franchise, I think people want to find out more.
He has a backstory. He's like a demon or something.
I don't know. Not in the movie.
Which one?
Well, that's not the first art movie.
Yeah, there's that short.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, it's supposed to be like a Halloween demon.
But it's supposed to kind of stand on its own or something like that. So I was taking it as its own movie without the short.
Yeah.
And it's just a dude killing people. When you get more into it, I think it's what people expect to find out more. Because I think in some ways people want more. They want to know, like, even outside of this, like, of course, I've read all of these damn things, but all the old Star Wars canon, all the other canon, people, it's like, oh, it's this person's backstory. Cool,
Right.
And when you do it right, I think it can work.
It's
and when you do
like I read online where, like, all of those characters in the cantina scene of the original Star Wars have fucking Wikipedia pages now.
Yeah, they have giant. Well, there's a whole book about them originally.
But see, I also feel like,
But that's if you want to seek it out. It's not like being shoved into your mouth, though.
Well, and that's also, you reach a point of, like, again, these are slasher films, and are we getting? Because it is part of the problem with the Rob Zombie one too. It's you're going too far in the other direction, and
when it's
now
nothing but story and
right. And sometimes in trying to justify something too much, it just gets ridiculous. Like, I will say, and the Nightmare on Elm Street movies devolve, but like Freddy Krueger had his basic backstory that stayed fairly consistent until then when you got into some nun stuff and whatever.
And then they added in, I think they added in the molestation stuff. Because in the first movie, he was just a killer.
In the
kind of hinted a little bit.
It's hinted at, yeah. And I will say, we need to save that for a whole, yeah.
So
we go up on those tangents, but I
wonder, like, who's like watching these at the point when you get to the 6th one in the series,
right?
The fans are the ones who are watching it, so there might be like, I'm fine with him killing people.
Justification for it.
But also in some ways, like, say when someone goes out to watch Friday the 13th Part 7, the one where he fights Carrie, you get the people watching are the people who love the first ones. You don't have like random Joe, is coming to the multiplex, like, oh yeah, I'll watch that. I haven't watched the other ones.
Yeah.
The only time so in some ways you can get that.
But I was gonna say, because the first one I saw was H2O. I had not seen any of them. We were just talking about how we watched them all out of order.
Exactly.
And the Friday the 13th movies all stand alone. You don't have to see any Friday the 13th movie.
It's because they only have like just the basic mythology. Yeah. That's what I was thinking about. Is like you don't really need that because the people who are really interested in it, they're there for the kills. The people who are just watching it just because are kind of in there for the kills as well. But I don't know, for Halloween, it seems almost, I hate using this word because it's overused now, but like elevated. But at least the first one is not, of course, it was the predating everything that came afterwards, and then the later sequels kind of became what they were. I lost it. By the time you get to 5, you're kind of getting like responding to Friday the 13th part.
Right. Well, I would argue part of what in the first few Halloweens helps elevate it too is the cast.
Yeah.
I mean, even when she was young, Jamie Lee Curtis was always fantastic, and had something special on screen.
Donald Pleasance really carries the narrative.
Donald Pleasance, yeah.
Like you know nothing about Michael Myers without him.
Yeah, so what is he lying to us the whole time?
And
Did Loomis make him crazy?
And literally, as long as he was alive, would he be okay? Right. But literally, as long as he was alive, he was in those movies.
They're a paycheck.
Yeah, but he genuinely
he gave it all.
Like he like you don't keep doing those if there's not a part of you that is enjoying it, even when it gets ridiculous. Because he was, by the end, by part 6, he's obvious that he's sick. Yeah,
because he died right after they finished filming.
He died right after they
which
finished
is why,
filming.
like, we had the Paul Rudd, like, had more stuff in there. And
Yeah.
the Paul Rudd voiceover and the theatrical cut. It's like,
God.
Who is this kid and why should we care for it? It's Tommy Doyle, but it's like, compared to the producer's cut where it's Donald Pleasance.
Yeah. But it's very obvious that he's ill.
Yeah.
You hear it in his voice. You see it.
Barely moving through.
Yeah.
Yeah, compared to, like, the loud and
almost
blaring,
manic at times. Yeah, he's at one. It's again, it's to his credit that he's literally dying, but he's committed to following through with this franchise, even though part 6 is.
It's part 6.
It's part 6.
I'm going more depth on part 1.
Yeah. Well, so
it's been fun kind of just jumping around as it comes to us, rather than sticking movie to movie.
If we do want to try to touch on each one as we go through, so at least anyone who's maybe not seen some of these isn't just like, what the fuck are they talking about?
At some point, it's like, why? Where? It's like, no, actually, I wanted to jump all the way back and say, actually, oddly enough, you mentioned that the first time that USA Up All Night played them, but I swear the first time I saw Halloween's 1 and 2, out of order, were on USA Up All Night. Because I swear, I remember, at least maybe the second or third time, so I remember Gilbert Gottfried jumping in. He was up all night eventually, right after Rodman.
Yeah. I don't ever remember the Halloween's on Up All Night, but that does not by any means mean that they weren't.
When they weren't showing Monster in the Closet or Hello Mary Lou, it's Prom Night.
Mary Lou
2. That's one I always remember every time I hear Up All Night. I remember the Halloween movies playing a bunch, especially that's where first time I saw Halloween 2 with those cuts added to. First time seeing Halloween 1. With the grave, with him and with that and little Michael in the hospital as well.
Right. No, that's in part 2.
I'm pretty sure it's TV cut 1 has Michael in the hospital staring out at one point. She's not there.
Oh,
but he is.
I'm thinking about in part 2. There's the scene with Jamie Lee Curtis in the hospital where she's having a memory.
Yeah, and she sees
going
him
to the hospital and seeing Michael.
There's one point where he's talking to the sheriff, and I'm pretty sure it cuts to Loomis talking to Michael.
It's possible,
but I could be wrong. I've watched. Yeah, I'll check it later.
Well, I will say.
But the first time I watched them was TV cuts.
And I've rarely seen part 2. I've seen the AMC cut a ton, but I've rarely seen the TV cut for the original Halloween. I think by the time I became really into the franchise, I got the DVDs, and so I was just watching.
And now the box sets come with the TV cut.
Yeah.
And like that 15-disc Shout Factory one. I have that at home. I'm very slowly making my way through. I've watched all the movies. I haven't watched all the special features yet.
Right.
One of the special features is the TV cuts for 1, and I think 2 has a TV cut. That was has a TV cuts for 1 and I believe for 2. I'm not sure at least, but definitely for 1. I can go back and review.
I want that 15-disc Shout Factory thing.
Yeah, I got it.
When I eventually break into your house to steal all your stuff, Bob, that'll be the first
all right, cool. Sorry, I got off. What you're saying about going back to Halloween 1 and said,
Sure.
But that when it came out, re-envisioning what would eventually become the slasher, because before we had stuff like Psycho and Peeping Tom, then
Of course.
the Italians
The
took them and
Giallos
made giallos out of that, and then it comes back across with
Black
that
Christmas.
influence
Black
back with Black Christmas.
Texas Chainsaw,
Texas
too.
Yeah,
Chainsaw.
but definitely Black Christmas coming through is.
Yeah.
I would consider that way more of a slasher than I would. I love Texas Chainsaw, but I don't consider like that series more of a slasher. But
It doesn't follow the tropes of the slasher.
particularly the first one.
No,
particularly
If
the
we're
first
looking
one,
at if we're looking at the 70s,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Black
yeah.
Christmas was where it came back with giallo influence.
and with the POV shots and the that's another
Not the-
episode we should do.
Oh man, are they actually killing those people kind of thing?
Which then brings us to Halloween, which according to some people's rumors was supposed to be a sequel to Black Christmas, depending on who you ask and when. Bob Clark used to say it a lot. Then of course he passed away, and I swear I've seen Carpenter go back and forth on it, and Yablans go back and forth, but I could be just getting so many different interviews and commentaries and special features all mixed up. But I've heard in the past, and it was in some way supposed to be Black Christmas too, but I think it was
I
Bob
heard
Clark.
about that too, and then they also wanted to call it the Babysitter Murders.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen it listed as the Babysitter Murders before because I
Yeah.
think that's even a trivia question I've used. Well, and what I always find interesting about the first Halloween, at least, is how little gore there is in it.
Oh yeah, very little.
There is, and especially compared to a Black Christmas, which has some genuinely like disturbing kills. Not necessarily gory kills, although it has a couple that are, but it has some pretty graphic kills.
And Black Christmas is nasty kills. Like, I showed it to
Yeah.
Allison last year, and she's like, this movie's disturbing me more than everything else we've watched, is what Billy does.
Well, and Billy talking to himself
Yeah.
and some of the, I mean, like, it's again, that's a whole other podcast. But even comparing to Texas Chainsaw, where you're hanging people on meat hooks and knocking them over the head.
But even
with
there's not a
mallets.
lot of blood in that either. It's,
No, but I think the visuals are a little bit more like the most is you don't really see the sister getting killed so much because of the mask. The worst kill I can really think of
Is it the dude who gets like stuck to the
who
wall?
gets stuck
Yeah.
to the wall, which he's
The first
Part
one's
four.
definitely the best of the series
Yeah.
by far. I mean,
the most grounded, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't go too much into crazy shit. It's pretty much crazy dude.
Well, even
gets out.
Donald Pleasence's acting in it, because I say this with the utmost love and respect for Donald Pleasance, but at some point in time, he does become a little bit of a caricature of his own character.
Yes. I mean, in this one, he kind of starts out, like Michael Myers is an evil little boy. And then at the end, he's like, no!
When I first met Michael, he was catatonic, and I'm doing that quiet, understated acting.
Well, compared to Malcolm McDowell just kind of jumps straight into Crazy Loomis, but that's a whole lot later on.
But I kind of respect him for it. He made a bold choice, and he stuck with it.
It's like just in case you didn't get the hint last time that Loomis was probably not a good doctor. He's definitely not a good doctor in second go around.
Loomis is like the worst fucking doctor ever. It's like, dude.
He's not talking. He's crazy.
He starts off. It's you have to appreciate in the Rob Zombie one. He's like hippie Loomis. He's got like the longer hair in the beginning, and he's like,
I can be cool.
oh
I can be a
yeah,
friend.
no, dude.
I really wish that those two movies had been from his perspective.
Oh, dude, that is the movie Rob Zombie should have made.
Yep.
That is the movie
Exactly.
Rob Zombie should have made because that's a proper reimagining in a lot of
Okay.
ways.
And so he did reimagine by like putting the focus on Michael for most of it.
Right. But was that the story we needed?
No.
Or the story we wanted? No. But Cray Cray Dr. Loomis, Diva Pants Dr. Loomis, shitty psychiatrist Dr. Loomis.
Getting
Are you
called up by
kidding
Weird Al,
me?
Dr. Loomis.
Right? That's a movie I
That's
would watch.
such a weird fucking cameo, but I love it.
Al was just like, aren't you the crazy doctor?
But also,
What is wrong about you?
it's weird because his first one, like, it's contemporary, but it also it's kind of this weird like. What time period are we in?
I spent
There's
the beginning of the first one like, what year are we?
What year are we? I can't. Is this the 70s?
Is this supposed to be 63? Is this
Right.
81?
Is this what's going on? And then the second one, it's just full force like it's 2000 bitches. And you've got Weird Al, you've got super emo goth Lori who doesn't bathe her hair ever, and and just some of the stuff in it, it's bizarre, and it goes to that. Like, I like, Rob Zombie has a very certain aesthetic.
It didn't work for Halloween.
It didn't work.
It's called
for
Cherry
Halloween.
Moonspot.
Well, yes.
That's
That
his
always works
aesthetic.
for me.
And then the fucking screaming rednecks of the first half hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bitch! I ain't gonna work because I'm all worked up from the government.
But and I think it's what drives me crazy in general with Rob Zombie's movies. But in part 2, which is arguably a train wreck,
It's probably the worst Halloween film ever.
I don't know. Did you watch Busta Rhymes hit him?
I will take that because
The first time we break up for selections entire time. But continue. Halloween 2.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
But where
This is
would
a
we
trick,
be
right?
without that line?
And
No,
Better Place.
but he does some beautiful visuals. Like, everything. I mean, it might not make a whole lot of sense, but everything with the white horse and some of the dream sequences.
Yeah, that table was...
Yeah, they're lovely to look at, and
But
they're
they just don't fit with Halloween. It's the
no.
kind of thing, yeah.
But I think again, it's where it's so frustrating because it's like M. Night Shyamalan with directing. Like, he's got great story ideas, and then he writes the script and he's shit at dialogue, and you're like, you need someone else here to help you because you have
Zombie needs to hand it to somebody else and then take it back.
and then
direct
take it back. Yeah, he needs to be collaborating with somebody who has a little bit more understanding of structure and storytelling, whatever.
There's that scene in the second one where they crash the ambulance and it's 2 minutes of
Richard Brake.
Yeah,
Richard
yeah.
Brake. Fuck.
Well, he needs an editor who's not afraid to be like, dude, I'm cutting this shit.
Yes.
We don't need
What the fuck was
150
that?
bucks from Richard Brake.
Yeah.
I mean, more Richard Brake's always a fun thing.
But and I will say, like, I think John Carpenter, and you see this in the original, he has a certain, like, sparseness in the style, but that's very effective. And what we were saying with the Hell House movies, like, he wasn't working on a huge budget.
No, he was working on shoestrings.
So he was working on shoestrings, and that makes you creative. And yes, there's always going to be things that you can't do as much of. You can't do the special effects you necessarily want to do. You can't necessarily hire the actors that you want to hire. It forces you to be creative, and I think in John Carpenter's case, it kind of brought the best out of him.
Got the Jaws effect.
It got the Jaws effect, yeah. We are limited, and we are working around our limitations, and as a result, we're creating something really interesting, and something that is unique, and is, even though we've seen touches of this before, this is going to capture people's attention, and part of that is, I think, the realness of it. At least, again, in the first one, before we start getting into druids and masks and weird shit.
And more direct slasher of, like, it's just people to get them killed later on.
Right.
Goofy characters.
Body counts, too.
Yeah, exactly. But you gotta, because you go from 5 in the first Halloween.
Is it even 5?
No, well, you got Judith, the body in the woods that he takes this clothes from because Loomis finds it. Well, Loomis finds a truck and it pans over and there's a guy in the.
Right,
everyone
there's a
speaks
guy.
about him, and then
No,
Bob,
you do, yeah.
Bob, Linda, and Annie
Okay, so 5, yeah. And if you were not counting Judith only because she was killed
in '63
in
and
63.
'77.
So if you're looking at just what was like his contemporary, but yes, sure. 4 to 5 killings in the first movie.
compared to like later on where it's just like just killing entire
he's, like,
police stations full
Yeah,
of people.
Yeah.
just wrecking people left and right.
It's a wholly different thing. Then, of course, it cuts back down to like 3 in Halloween H2O, and then all of us personally and Resurrection.
Right.
And then the Rob Zombie ones is just here's a bunch of people, a lot of random kills. But I wanted to go back.
Let me take my rat apart first.
Or just spend an hour slaughtering Dee Wallace. Speaking of the devil,
that was a brutal scene.
yeah, and the
That was
theatrical cut it
unnecessarily
goes
brutal
on,
to me, yeah.
because in the theatrical cut it's like it's quick, and then the
No,
extended
in
cut
the
it's
extended
an
cut,
hour, it's like a minute and a half,
It's unnecessarily long and
that's just
brutal.
Rob Zombie just being Rob Zombie. But I wanted to go back to his Halloween 2, which it's a goddamn train wreck of a movie, a big trash fire. There's a lot of things I like about it.
Yeah.
Like
Which again is
it
why I get
reminds you
frustrated.
it's like a David Lynch style. Like it's like he watched a bunch of David Lynch movies and it's like, how can I turn this into that? But I did appreciate the PTSD aspect to it, where
yeah.
Laurie's fucked up and Annie's
that was
fucked
very
up
believable.
after a year and they can't handle everything.
Because it's a fucked up thing to go through.
Yeah, exactly. And then have your whole town still talking about it and talking to you about it. If I was them, I would just take off to a different town, but that's...
And then to learn
movie.
certain things about yourself, because they do keep the sister aspect in part 2.
Because you find out all this happened to her,
via
and
the Loomis
her
book.
new parents are killed, and Loomis is just trotting it out in front of everyone.
Although, I will say, because in the first one, Annie lives.
Yeah. I think it's brutal killing the second one, but yeah.
But that's something that I will actually oftentimes stop the movie before that kill, because she had her whole scene, she's topless in the first one. Not even getting into fine, okay, she's topless. It's a slasher film, that happens. But it was, again, an unnecessarily extended scene of a woman getting brutalized topless.
Is that the one he drags her across for a while? I can remember that was 1 or 2 where that happens in.
And then in part 2, after she's survived and is covered in literal scars, they finally kill her off in another fairly extended scene. And that is something I will say bothered me. Unnecessary, especially in now, the unnecessarily long, extended, glorifying, it's sexualizing too.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. It's not,
it's fetishizing her death and all.
Yeah, it's fetishizing it. And particularly when you have an actress in the part who is also connected to the franchise.
Yeah.
So it's
weird that the first time we saw her, she was 6 years old.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
It's really weird to see Danielle.
And she's got her top
Harris
off.
and now she's and saying and giving her this dialogue, which you're like, all right, fine. But that for me, and again, I say this as someone, I don't have a problem with nudity. I don't have a problem with graphic violence, but I feel like you're fetishizing it. Yeah, it was making it into something that it didn't need to be, and that it cheapened it. And then her getting killed in the second one really bothers me, because it's so drawn out in the first, and now it's just like, well, if you're gonna do that, just kill her off in the first movie.
Yeah, no point.
Why are we doing this? Because now it's just gross. It's just icky. Apparently, I felt stronger about it than even I realized. But yeah, are we gonna touch on part 3 and what it is?
Yeah,
we could go back there.
We sure as fuck are. That's awesome, man.
Damn right it is.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a mess. It is messy as hell.
Mess, yes, messy
But
mess,
it's,
messy mess.
I think it's charming as all hell. Thanks to
Tom
Atkins.
Hey,
Fuck
Oh,
yeah.
well, yes, yeah.
And
No.
whoever plays the fucking bad guy,
Yeah, he's cool. Like, I
he's
like
like, and the hills will run red with your blood. And they got the fucking masks. The masks are so
The
cool.
masks are so
The masks
iconic.
are cool.
Iconic. In my view. They really do. They're one of the few things that I've seen in numerous mediums.
Well, the thing is, like, a lot of people don't realize it's a Halloween thing. Like,
Yeah,
so,
I was
like,
gonna
the
say,
Silver
that's just
Shamrock song. My dad used to talk about it all the time. Like,
Yep.
he like, 3 more days to Halloween.
But people don't know the reference.
So, yeah, my
they
dad
don't
would talk
know
about it
where-
forever. I'm like, oh, it's Halloween 3. But I was like, no, it's not the one with that dude. Like, no, it's a different movie.
Yeah.
It's its own thing. No, I've seen it. It's not a Halloween movie. Like, guess that it is.
Well, because it's not, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, but it's not. Like, if they'd continue with this trend of we're gonna, make these standalone films from here on out, sure. But they didn't, so it's just kind of weird.
It's a little asterisk in the
No,
series.
it definitely sticks out. But I really do like the movie. And I think it's really got some good kills.
Yeah.
And it's nasty with the kills too. If we're somehow
When that
just like
motherfucking kid's head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
we were just talking about how like, man, Rob Zombie's too nasty. And I'm like, yeah, Halloween 3's nasty in like completely positive way.
But it is different.
Yes.
It is different.
It's a different kind of nasty.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anybody in Halloween 3's fucked their sister. in Rob Zombie's one.
Wow.
I mean, they even have that complete side note. There's a scene in that Rob Zombie's Halloween where he's creepily touching his sister.
right before he kills her.
Right before he kills her.
He's running that poor
Because
kid.
he thinks it's the other brother. But anyway, Halloween 3. Tom Atkins fucks a robot.
He does? Wait, no, I
Who
don't.
hasn't
If she,
fucked a robot?
I thought she was a robot at the beginning.
I don't
No?
think she's a robot until she gets kidnapped.
Oh, fair enough.
That was my interpretation. Is that she doesn't get changed out for the android until then.
Oh, okay, I get behind that. For some reason, I was always thinking that she was a robot the entire time.
I love that poor like redneck family that's in that though. They're not really redneck. They're more like middle class, and they're like, oh, Mr. What's his face? Whoever is running that toy factory, he's such a great guy. He's giving little buddy his first mass, and little buddy's head fucking melts.
I will say that is a great moment.
It was fun showing that to my wife for the first time. I'm like, just waiting for that scene to happen. It's like, oh, she's gonna go nuts. This is gonna be great.
Like and just world building on that. What was the? Do you think he got the third station to take it off?
No, I think a lot of people died.
I think so too.
Well, yeah, that's one thing I do appreciate Halloween 3.
I think a lot of people.
A lot of kids died that night.
It's got there is a dark streak in it that I appreciate because it also satisfies like the dark streak that I appreciate in a lot of horror, and it was the dark streak before it became like now it's not unusual to see that strain of dark, but in the 80s.
Absolutely.
It's
very...
It ends bleakly.
Yeah.
He's not getting him taken down nationally either. He's getting
just locally, to save his own kid.
Yeah.
And Carpenter wanted was trying to make it more like 50s to 60s British sci-fi horror,
right?
Like Quartermaster in the Pit type stuff. And
right.
Like the guy who wrote the Quartermaster wrote like the first draft before he and Carpenter argued and he went off his own way. He's not even credited, but apparently it's there, right? I've read about that elsewhere. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Niles Nobley or something like that. Something like that. But he's trying to get that end of things, so that can get pretty. Oh, everyone dies. It's really dark. Things go along the way, and that's different than as we'd expect at the time. Of course, the 80s were a lot of dark children's stuff, but not to this degree. Of course,
not to this degree. Well, I will say I think that the 80s children's stuff was darker, but in terms of a lot of slasher films, a lot of horror, doing stuff to kids was still kind of on the taboo.
In many ways, it's still.
Oh yeah,
but a lot less.
Yeah, trick or treat. Yeah, like
yeah,
how many people die that are kids?
But it's because it's again you reach a point where you have to start breaking some of those taboos. But horror's become so meta too, and so self-aware that every time a kid dies, it's like they set it up. This obnoxious kid that you're gonna, and it's this nudge, wink, wink. You're gonna be happy because this kid's gonna die.
Like that Silent Night, Deadly Night remake where they.
There was out.
Yes.
Oh, that little fucking kid! And you root for that.
You root for that death. You're like, fuck yeah, you're killing that kid. Which I feel like I need to put a disclaimer in that I do on occasion work with kids. I'm not actually actively wishing them to have harm fall upon them. But no, I'd say for its time period, that was a fairly bleak direction to go in. It wasn't wrapped up with a nice little bow. It was like, ooh. I need to give it a rewatch. I saw it later. I saw it as an adult. And I struggled a little with getting past this is a Halloween movie.
Yeah. So do you, it goes to the question I was going to ask, like, if it was released simply as Season of the Witch, do you think just generally it'd get a better response?
Oh, I do.
Even back in 1983, whenever it came out, people were like, oh yeah, Season of the Witch, great movie. Yeah. Rather than Halloween 3, the one without Michael Myers.
Well, I mean, there's a reason that they went back to Michael Myers. People liked it. And so by putting a movie out there, it was, you saw it similar with the, was it part 4 or part 5 of the Friday the 13th?
When it was Roy, the ambulance.
Right.
And part 5.
Yeah,
part 5, yeah. People
Which
got...
I actually like.
No, it's a movie, I actually enjoyed it. But people got
Oh,
pissed.
people were mad. And
that was fake Jason.
I mean, they retconned the Tommy Jarvis thing because he was supposed to be the killer.
Yeah, they
right.
Part 6.
That's right. That's right.
It's like, oh, this is a dream. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's renamed Forest Green now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they kind of almost did that with Halloween 4 to 5 when, with Jamie killing about to attack what's her face
That
at the
pissed
end,
me off
and then actually
so
kill her,
much.
and again in part 5.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, because when you build up to that, and you get that pretty cool moment, although it does have Donald Pleasant's no.
No, I know. The first time I saw part 5 after seeing part 4, I was so confused.
Oh, it's so disjointed. Like you're like, What did that last part not even fucking happen?
No.
Or like, did she? So I guess maybe she stabbed her. She like lightly stabbed her.
Yeah, the mom
What happened?
apparently survived.
But then they keep calling her mom when she's not her mom.
Yeah.
And which in the first movie they make very apparent
Very clear.
because she's Laurie's daughter. And so when they keep calling her the mom and they keep saying your sister, and yet there's a whole thing of she's not my sister. Well, she's not. She's her cousin.
Really pushes that on 5, right?
Yeah.
in part
And
5.
so and then
We're here. Go hang out with my idiot friend.
which okay, can we? Because I just rewatched part 5 recently, and can we talk about the fact that Jason. See what I'm doing now? Michael falls down and he's found by this hermit, and he's like comatose for a year or whatever. How the fuck was he staying alive? Is this hermit shoving water and food down to him every day as he's in a coma? Because I'm sorry, if I was the hermit, I'd just be like, you know what, son, go towards the light or the flames, whatever.
Well, you got shot 50 times.
You got shot 50 times,
fine.
but a year
Blown
goes
up
by.
Dynamite, too.
Right?
Yeah.
But a year goes by. It's not okay. You survived gunshots and dynamite. You've not eaten or consumed liquid in a year.
Well, at this point,
die!
Well, and that's my issue with some of those movies in the era, because it becomes, we just need another Jason.
Yeah.
We just need a slasher rather than what made him the first time.
What really pisses me off about that is, I get Michael's a killing machine. That dude kept you alive for a year. You could at least spare him.
I know. I'm like, come on, man.
That's such a dick move.
That's when you're like, you pat him on the head. You're like, you know what? We're cool. We're cool.
I'm letting you go. Cool.
You and I, we're buds. I'm not gonna kill you or your parrot.
Here's the funny thing about part 5 is when I watched it when I went it for the Shout Factory box set.
Right, yeah.
That was the first time I watched it all the way through without falling asleep.
Ah.
Every single time I watched it in the previous 20x years that I've been watching Halloween 5, there's some point where they're in the Myers house, and I have air quotes that you can't see, where it's all of a sudden this giant mansion and not this 2-story house. Like at some point when that trap's going on, I always fall asleep. But I go back and finish the rest of it. Of course, I've seen how it happens. See, now you're me watching Halloween 5.
I know. No, it's well. No, I will say that the
Loomis is
ending of
looping
it,
up, and like
the ending of it does go like it is kind of anticlimactic in a lot of ways.
I like when Loomis is like pretty much uses the kid as a human shield.
Yeah. I kind of respect that at that point because you have to wonder, like with Dr. Loomis by part 5 and then part 6, where he's at least retired, but then he's not.
Yeah.
But like this dude's been working for how many years, and he's been dealing with his one patient. Also, they're letting this guy just hang out at apparently this town is big enough to have its own children's psych hospital. Which is a whole other thing. If you have, there's a lot of children in that hospital too. So you've got like a children's psych hospital or whatever in this tiny little town. You do have to wonder what's in the water there.
Yeah.
well, compared to previously where he was an hour and a half away in Smith's Grove.
But that wasn't exclusively that was an actual.
Yeah, that was a regular.
That was a
hospital.
mental institution.
Yeah.
This is like a children's home for
halfway home for kids.
halfway home for kids. Except it's weird. The whole premise of it, and I think it was such a cop-out. Part 4, you're setting her up to take over the mantle. And how interesting would that have been? And how bold. You kill off your main killer and have a little girl take over. Dude.
Yeah, that's just some balls.
Fucking
Yeah.
balls.
And then they just like, oh no, it didn't happen.
We just need to get more
Done.
slasher stuff.
And because I'm sorry, who would have been interested in watching like a little protege, a little Jamie start pulling a Michael and start killing people?
Going Good Son on that, or was it Milo and Mikey? A bunch of movies around that same time.
Yeah, like that. I think that would have been really interesting and different. And then they, new writers came in, and it was like, oh.
Or they a better version of Halloween 5. I thought in that case would be if someone is killing people, and it could make it almost like, of course, not really a mystery, but I don't know, kind of see where we're going there.
Is
like,
it her?
Is it her, or is Michael coming back from the
Yes.
dead? Is this Psycho 2-ing it?
Psycho 2-ing
They were
it,
pretty
yes.
much actually supposed to to make that movie. It was going to be she's fully evil and he's pursuing her for some kind of I don't know whether it was to kill her or mentor her or whatever.
Right.
But that was supposed to be the movie, and then they're like that pushed out at the last moment.
Then Loomis running around like, this one's evil too.
Yeah. kill all the children.
Like everyone, this line is evil. Yes.
Just kill them. Just sterilize them and kill them. See, I'd watch that movie too. But it's really disappointing because I love Part 5 because of its awfulness.
Yeah.
Like, I have a deep love of Part
absolutely.
5 because it's so fucking ridiculous.
Especially that when they kill, like, that Rachel.
Oh, yeah, when they kill Rachel very early on.
And then you're stuck with fucking Tina.
And then the idiot cops with their
With
clown
their
music. And then they die off screen, right? If I remember right, like they find them in the car.
Find their bodies in the car. Yeah.
The weird
It's like,
thing
damn, I
about
want-
that is like why because it was and like they've done interviews. Oh, it's supposed to be an homage to Last House on the Left. I'm like, why would you put that in a Halloween movie?
Which did have idiot cops too. What if they
Yeah.
removed from the removed and they remade it? That's a whole different thing.
But it can't decide. It's like it can't decide because the late 80s too, you were seeing more and more of these. Again, you're starting to see some self-aware slashers, but the ones that are sort of half taking the piss out of themselves. But it's like they didn't want to commit to either. They didn't want to commit to the full darkness, and they didn't want to commit to being more comedy. And so the end result was this really weird half-assed in between with some druids.
Yeah, it was just so mismatched.
It was so mismatched, and it was so obvious that they came in not really understanding what they wanted to do.
Yes. And like to me, it seems more like almost Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah.
And like I've always thought
Should've
with
made
Halloween
like part 6
3
and 7.
that if you changed his mask and changed the title, it'd be a
Yeah.
Yeah.
crappy slasher on its own.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be like this is a Halloween movie redone.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, again, I think Danielle Harris is a fine child actress.
Absolutely.
Like handles material that
Especially in one she's not speaking in.
Yeah, no, I think she's genuinely very, very good, and I'm fairly critical of children's acting.
The fact that they made her mute for like until, and then I'm like,
But with what she was working with.
oh no, she did a great job with that. That line is what I had the problem with.
Well, it's another where you're like, you don't see Tina in all of Part 4, and suddenly
She's the best friend.
she's like another Rachel because we're gonna kill Rachel off.
Practically Jesus in that movie.
Well, wasn't there like some sort of
Very horny.
Very horny.
the
Jesus.
actress played Rachel? Wasn't there some sort of like falling out or something they
Yeah,
didn't get along with?
She wanted to not be much in the movie.
Yeah.
Because originally she had a much larger part. But then you kind of wonder, like, because her death scene is, again, it doesn't really do her justice. So you're like, how pissed were you with this actress that you were just like,
Very.
fuck you, man.
But a funny thing about the idiot cops is like, man, Haddonfield, like, man, he killed all the police officers a year ago, so I guess these are the only dumb ones you're left with. And he kills the entire police station again. Well, the Man in Black kills the other half of them.
Yeah. I guess the lesson is don't be a cop in Haddonfield.
Oh, God. Or be a sheriff near fucking Crystal Lake.
Yeah, that's it, because it's going to get you broken in half continually.
Aww.
It's like, well, Sheriff Brackett, we survived the first 2 Halloween movies. His daughter didn't. I always feel bad for Sheriff Brackett.
No, me too, because...
Especially then the zombie version too.
I was gonna say the zombie version.
He gets reaction, a second reaction.
Well, and Brad Dourif, who, I mean... He, like, well, I started to say, like, I feel like the Halloween movies, more so than any other of your regular genre slashers, have cast very well. Even Zombie had a very high pedigree cast.
He cast that insanely well.
Yeah.
How he managed to bungle it with all of those actors in a lot of respects. Not all of the movies are bad, obviously.
Yeah.
I think Scout Taylor Thompson's great. Too bad that I haven't seen anything else.
She's very good. She's very talented.
But I interrupt you. Sorry.
No. I mean, like, Sid Haig is in that for, like...
Well, but him and Sid Haig have a relationship.
Yeah, Sid Haig, Bill...
That part, though, when he's in the grave with Loomis... And he's like, man, you hear about that doctor wrote a fucking book about that?
Yeah.
Blood Money. I've read that book. It's a masterpiece.
I mean, like, it's... Well, and to be fair, Malcolm McDowell shows up and... he's a Michael Caine. You pay him, he will show up.
And he'll
be there.
And Michael Caine will just read his lines sometimes with glass on.
Yeah, sometimes with the script still, like, just off script.
This is my script, Michael Caine.
Just pay him from my beach house right now.
But Malcolm McDowell will give you everything.
He fucking he will sit there and gnaw on that scenery. And I have so much respect for that.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy him as an actor anyway, and I enjoy him as a douchebag because he knows how to play a dick.
But he's really nice in person. I met him
No,
on the
I
con a
know.
few years
Which,
ago.
Oh man, I wish he'd come to Crypticon. Malcolm McDowell.
Malcolm
Crypticon.
McDowell. I
Jason,
don't know.
are you listening?
I don't know. But no, I think the Halloween movies more than almost any other slasher. Not just, I mean, obviously you have Friday the 13th, you have Kevin Bacon, you have Johnny Depp in the Nightmare on Elm Street, but this was before they were people.
Yeah.
Like, Donald Pleasance was an established, a
absolutely.
very established actor.
Yeah, the only one I can really think of for Nightmare that they got after is maybe Yaphet Kotto in part 6.
Yeah.
But even then, he's
Even
not
then,
really...
he's not.
That's
He was
10
just
years
that
after
dude in
Alien.
Yeah.
Or he was a Bond bad guy, too.
Oh, yeah.
And Live and Let Die.
Was he the... I don't want to sound like... He was the voodoo guy, right?
He worked with the voodoo guy.
Okay.
That same one, though.
But the Friday the 13th movies have never been about casting.
Yeah, they just happen to have people in later.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, they very much embrace the unknown teen aspect. Halloween, I think, even looking at the original, the casting seemed very deliberate. Like, they wanted people associated with horror films, because originally, even before Donald Pleasance had signed on, they were talking to Christopher Lee.
Yeah. There's always a rumor that he fired his agent when he found out his agent passed for him without showing him the script. That could be just, anecdotal after a while, but
right, but
Lee said at least.
You hire Jamie Lee Curtis, who's the daughter of Janet Leigh, who's,
Yeah.
Of course, that's her first big role, too.
Right, but I mean, that's got
a pedigree behind it.
That's got a pedigree. That's marketable to be able to say, Janet Lee's daughter, Janet Leigh, a scream queen. Yeah, Tony. Yes, I forget that. But just
we all forget that Tony Curtis is.
Yes, well, Yeah. But looking just specifically at like horror pedigree, she's a scream queen. She was a scream princess, and then she got her crown. Like,
even as much people give Resurrection shit, they got Tyra Banks. Hot at that time.
Yeah.
Like and same thing with Busta Rhymes.
Busta Rhymes.
Popular. They were both like red hot at the time.
If you're or to Busta Rhymes,
I
you
forgot
back
Katie
to LL Cool
Sackhoff
J.
was in it until I rewatched it. I was like, oh,
that was before
holy
she was
shit,
big,
before you were Starbucks.
Well, you're taking before Star.
Even LL
Paul
Cool J.
fucking Rudd.
Oh yeah, Paul fucking Rudd. Yeah.
The ageless Paul Rudd, who like 20-something years after Halloween 6, still looks exactly the same.
Josh Hartnett, kind of the same thing. He
was
very similar.
One, and I look at H2O. You have
Michelle Williams.
Michelle Williams.
This is on Venom this last week.
Josh Hartnett. You've got LL Cool J.
Janet Leigh.
And
Janet Leigh's in it for one scene
too. Like,
Alan Arkin,
he's a really solid. He's one of those guys. He's a television actor primarily, but does film.
When I think of him, I think of the couple of scene parts in West Wing, where he plays a psychiatrist.
He's all over the place. He's a very well known working actor. And one, Janet Leigh has a cameo in it too. Yeah. Like, you've got legitimate people. Of course, H2O came out with 99. Did H2O came out?
No, it's 2-0 in there, so it's 98.
98, sorry.
Well, actually, I didn't mean to mansplain.
I can remember it's 90 or 99.
I remember that because it.
Speaking of calling H2O, like, big props for Halloween 2018 for not calling it H40.
Oh, that feels like a missed opportunity.
But I feel like the parody of it that's going to come out is going to call it H420 or something.
Yeah.
And of course, the new one was Judy Greer, and of course, Jamie
and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis in a Halloween movie.
I know. But and looking at that, so retconning in horror is standard.
Oh fuck yeah!
But have we ever had a movie that's retconned its way, not just the amount of times it's like re-retconned itself, but had an actress return to the franchise in what will be it was initially we had parts 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and then with H2O we had 1, 2, H2O Resurrection.
Yes.
And now it's 1 and
Halloween.
Halloween
and Halloween.
Where you've had a consistent cast and retconned it like that. Has that ever been done?
No.
I mean, I give him credit. That's ballsy, but it's also fucking smart.
And it's even in retconning, like, and they could have even kept some aspects. Like, one thing I love in the first trailer for this new Halloween was like, isn't like he is her brother or something? Yeah. No, it's a bunch of idiots said that on the internet.
Which again is just meta enough for you've made a movie that will, in theory, appeal to the diehard fans, as well as a new generation who wants the meta.
But. Yeah, and absolutely, and
who wants self-aware, self-referential, those little nudge winks.
And I was this thing about that. I was like, I wonder how many people are going to come into it not realizing that it is a new Halloween 2 and not Halloween 11 or Halloween 9.
I feel like the first trailer was designed to really nail home. This is a direct sequel to the
first one.
To the first one.
And I wonder how many ways actually could, besides the brother thing, actually tie, like, 2 could have happened. Well,
what?
Ben Tramer lives! Justice for Ben Tramer.
Justice for Ben Tramer. The first one goes and kills him. Or the second one.
Second one.
And then Rob Zombie goes and slanders him, calls him retarded.
Ooh.
I'll be so happy. Like, the movie could be crap, which I hope it's not, but if they give Ben Tramer some love,
yes,
in the new one, I'll be happy.
I will say, early reviews, early reactions have been very positive.
I won't lie, I've actually spoiled it for myself. I know the entire plot.
Do you really? I haven't. I
even skipped the thing in Rue Morgue. Like, Rue Morgue doesn't spoil, but I'm like, all right, moving on.
I'm avoiding spoilers, which is rare for me. I usually embrace spoilers, but I don't want spoilers.
Guys.
I had
motherfucker.
I had one death that was spoiled for me that I was kind of mad about, but obviously not gonna say.
I genuinely right now I know nothing other than what's in the trailers. We're gonna see if I can keep that. It's real hard with how much I'm on the internet.
Yeah, we got a week. Fucking Wikipedia page, and then it's just
why?
Choice B.
So anyway, yes, going back to Halloween.
What?
And
it doesn't have Jason Momoa shirtless.
Jason Momoa.
I'm gonna be
shirtless.
We all know how much 8 is god awful. And probably like retcons, like even retcon 8, of course, retcon the end of 7, which everything else done. But that's standard part for the course. These type of movies.
Yeah,
the amount of mental
5 retcons the end of 4. Yeah,
that needed to make that happen was just fucking astounding.
No,
I will say though, I did like when Laurie Strode does die in the 8th one. She does go out like a badass. An idiot, but a badass.
But an idiot badass.
Yeah.
Because she had her option to kill Michael and she didn't.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go back to H2O and say, I like it on the whole, but I kind of don't. I don't. It's kind of weird to kind of crossway. I always feel like it's less than it's trying to be. Like,
I feel like it's really lame. Not to cut you off.
Running into it's like, yes, he's coming back and it's on Laurie, but it's just so little when it comes to the actual stock slash part of it. I guess I know it's not right.
It just feels
but something about it doesn't feel all the way done for me. Like, it's post Scream.
And
Halloween is very, very, very self-aware.
The first Halloween, too, without Donald Pleasance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you feel the fact that
it's evident
that he's grounded so much of the other films.
Well, he drives everything forward continually.
Yeah. Well, he has this... even as later movies, it got... Again, you start to get into a little bit of a caricature, which is inevitable when you're playing, I think, a character for as long as... It happens in sitcoms all the time. Yeah. You're playing an extreme...
Slanderize.
Yeah. You can't help it that it just it keeps building until it starts to get kind of ridiculous. Where are you going, old man? You know. But the voiceovers in the beginning of H2O, the Donald Pleasance's voiceovers, which is harkening back again to the first movie, and again the first Halloween I ever saw was H2O, and so. After having gone and seen the other movies and then rewatched H2O,
wasn't that an impersonator actually doing?
Was it? I thought they used sound clips from the.
I think they filled in some with the impersonator, but
but the initial clip of where he's talking about I saw the eyes, where he's talking about the eyes, the devil's eyes. That's from. you notice he's not there. But can I ask this question?
No.
Well, fuck
Yes.
You just asked a question.
How does he know where to find her?
It's in the nurse's house.
Oh,
He
that's
breaks into
right.
the nurse's house and
Yeah.
finds Dr. Loomis's files, where apparently he knows where Lori
But
is.
why does he know where she is? If
Because
she
he's
faked
Dr.
her,
Loomis.
Yeah.
He knows. Loomis knows all.
I guess so. That's always kind of bugged me though. Like I get, but why?
I always figured Loomis always had like files on hand just in case, because Michael Myers really fucked him up.
So she like sending him Christmas cards every year, being like,
Maybe.
"Hey, here I am." Because I would think if I was Lori, I'd be like, "Where is the first place he's gonna look? He's gonna look at Dr. Loomis's house."
True.
So I'm going to go somewhere else.
So I'm gonna not
So-
keep in touch with him and not update my Facebook
I
profile.
forget. In H2O, is that how they write him off? Loomis, does Michael kill him?
No, he killed. It's the nurse. He's died at that point.
He was sick. His nurse at the end of his life has all her files.
And it's the nurse from the first
yeah.
two movies.
Yeah.
It's referenced in some stuff that they talk about.
Because it has the voiceover, and then you see some of the files, and then
She worked with Loomis before he died, kind of.
and
thing.
after
It
he
has
kills
been a
Joseph
long
Gordon,
time since I've
and
seen it.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt, thinking of someone
Yeah,
famous at the
He
time,
yeah.
wrecked too, pretty
yeah,
good.
he gets the
Man,
skate through his
but
face.
LL Cool J in that.
Doesn't die.
No, and he's like,
Why are we so bummed about that?
because he's such an annoying.
I
Like-
like him.
Oh, you big round melon.
Okay, well that's annoying. No, that was annoying. But I like LL Cool J, so I was fine when they lived. But no, yeah, I was. It was funny is I was pulling clips for the teenage horror film I was directing, and I was pulling clips from things to show one of our first days of structure and scares and everything, and I was trying to pull something from H2O, and the stuff that kept popping up had LL Cool J reading his romance novel, and I was like,
Nope.
pass. Not going there.
But everything
Not
else in the
going
movie
there.
is kind of
All you gotta
tame.
do is just
Then again,
show
so is the
them-
first one, but
Yeah.
Show him some Cannibal Holocaust.
we haven't really talked about a lot about the first Halloween too. We've kind of given it glances
true.
off, and which kind of brings up the question of of course the first one's the best one in the franchise easily,
Right.
hands down. What do you think is the best of the sequels? A lot of people throw 2, and that's might be my personal favorite as a continuation. It does kind of get into really slasher
In terms of quality, I'd say 2. In terms of my own personal enjoyment, I might say a different one. But in terms of quality, I personally would probably say 2.
To through Resurrection,
or you can go all the way to Zombie 2 if you want.
Oh no, don't worry about that.
It's its own universe.
You can go 3. That's just curious. Like this is where everything continues after the first one. Of like,
The Halloween sequels are pretty raw. It wouldn't be H2O. It wouldn't be Resurrection, although it could be. I'd probably go with 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to say 3, but
It's not really a
not really a
Halloween movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and the only thing I really don't kind of like about 2 is it's very, it's. Let's talk about how I thought that 4, 5, and 6 kind of reflected back on the other franchises coming out. I think 2 does that a little bit. It's
Right.
starting to get into because it's he kills 12 people in the hospital, the most empty hospital in the goddamn world.
oh god,
Whenever my wife and I watch horror films and there's something in a hospital, there's no one there, we always call it a Halloween hospital because of just how empty it
man,
is.
the fucking Walking Dead hospital is more populated than that.
I always try and write it off as this is just one wing is kind of half closed down for whatever reason because and everything else is still going on like normal and just this one little side. Of course, I know
Well, then why isn't anyone responding to all the
who
shit
knows.
that's going down in this?
That's how we try and write it off in my head.
I will say you start to see it's something that I think is sometimes sort of tossed aside with Michael Myers as a killer, partially because of all the killers. He is sort of the again, I don't think that he has less personality than Jason Voorhees, but I think because of how mother heavy Jason Voorhees' backstory is, we put some of that I love my mother thing into him. But Michael Myers has a little bit of a twisted streak. We see it in the first one where he puts the ghost costume on when he goes, he masquerades as boyfriends a lot. We see it in part 2 with the hot tub killing, where he's going and he's massaging her shoulders a little. And you see it in part 5 with that stupid mask where he's pretending to be Tina's boyfriend. There's
a
jokester
about him there.
There's a weird little thing to him. But I mean, do you know what I mean? there is touches of, like, he's not, like, Jason is kind of mindless killer. Jason doesn't have, he just focuses and kills. Like, Michael Myers, even though it's not something you see to the Freddy Krueger level, but there's a little bit of this twisted, he will masquerade as a person. Jason Voorhees doesn't know how to do that. He's not smart enough.
No.
But he has enough in him to know sometimes. Like, again, he switches masks. He wears the other mask. He pretends to be the boy. He doesn't say anything still.
He sets up like a haunted house for Laurie when she comes in. Because he sets up Linda's body to kind of like fall down. Or is that and then, no, that's Andy's body because Totally is on the bed.
Right.
But he sets up this thing for her to find. And then he kind of sneaks out at her.
But
or waits a chance to kill her, like when he sneaks into the house and kind of waits for her to wander around.
So there's something going on there. And I think that's something that I find a little intriguing. Like, that's an avenue I wish had been explored more in parts maybe 5 or 6, where there are touches of moments where you're like, what's motivating this? What are you kill your sister, you're catatonic, but you plan your escape for a night when you're able to get out. There's thoughts happening, there's processing.
You think he's capable of speech? Obviously in the remake he is.
Right. I think it's an interesting parallel with, even though part 5 is a train.
Right,
so in part 5, she goes mute, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And she's mute while she's having this psychic connection with her uncle. And something I'd wish they'd maybe then followed through a little bit more with when they weren't sure what the fuck they were doing is was the reason of her muteness, was it related to the fact that Michael Myers is mute?
That's how I've always read that, in a way.
Yeah.
A little bit, a mixture of what the hell she went through.
Right.
Along with
the trauma.
Michael in her head, in a way.
Yeah.
But always, it's like, I'm under someone's cases, like, he's like Harper Marx, where he can talk, he just doesn't want to.
Right. No, but you think about Michael's face after he's killed his sister in the first movie.
He's shocked.
And there's the shell shock. Yeah, he's not aware. I don't know if he can talk. I almost wonder if part of him, whatever led him to, druids or whatever, that led him to kill his sister and then keep killing, if it changed him so profoundly that he just doesn't talk. Probably looking a lot deeper into this than even the writers have ever gone into it. They're probably just, I don't know, he doesn't talk.
Deborah Hill's yelling us from beyond the grave.
You have someone like, Jamie Lee Curtis, who's stuck with the franchise as long as she has, as big as she's gotten, because arguably, Robert Englund stayed with Friday the 13th as long as he was able to.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street, motherfucker! What is wrong with me? Too many wine.
Doug Bradley stayed with
Doug Bradley, but neither of them, for better or worse, neither of them were ever at the level of Jamie Lee Curtis. Jamie Lee Curtis was doing movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger. She spent some time as an A-list actor.
Yeah, and Trading Places.
She spent a chunk of time as an elite Hollywood, and I'd argue, she still is, I think, a huge star, but like,
she definitely has still a star power.
Yeah. I remember she retired.
Yeah. She started to take less and less movies, and that was her own choice.
And more yogurt commercials.
Yeah. Man, yogurt commercials pays. But she, I think, also took more stuff that she wanted to for fun. Like, she likes genre films.
Yeah.
She did Scream Queens. That was never a...
Oh, yeah, that was a total she just took it on for fun.
But you can tell when you're even watching her in... Like, one of the reasons I stuck with it is I enjoyed watching her, how much fun she's having. And how much she's just enjoying doing this. Like,
and I think she had the point in her career where she and Christopher Guest, or financially
they don't
solid.
Need to,
They're
yeah,
fine.
They don't need to worry about anything.
So they can do what they want. So you go, I'll do this, I'll do this.
She's a class act.
I don't know anybody who's ever said anything bad about her.
No.
It's impossible. She's such a nice person. And you can just see that radiate from, her interviews.
Yeah. But, Doug Bradley, he's
Great
a star
person.
amongst horror fans.
Yes.
Robert Englund is somebody who... Everybody knows him as Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, and then, if you see him and stuff,
you're like, it's that guy, or it's Freddy. He's that guy. He's got a little bit... It's Tony Todd also. Again, horror fans.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck yeah, horror fans know him. But outside of that, I'll be talking about him to a friend, and I'll pull up a picture of him. They're like, oh, yeah, I know that guy.
Star Trek, yeah.
He's Star Trek or Criminal Minds, or
Star Trek.
Yeah, he was Worf's brother.
Yeah, and a couple other things.
And DS9, he was like an old Jake or something. Anyway, he does a shit ton of television. He does movies. He's got a very recognizable voice too. So people recognize him. Jamie Lee Curtis is Jamie Lee Curtis. You don't need to be a horror fan to know who she is. And that's something. The fact that she returns to a franchise that she doesn't need to. She didn't need the money.
Oh, God, no.
She did not need the money. She didn't need to do this if she didn't want to.
That gives me huge hope for this. It's like getting her back and saying, like, oh, cool, I'm involved with this. Because apparently they showed her script and said, if you say no, we're just going to cancel this project right now.
And again,
we're not going to do this without you. And she's like, yeah, I'll do it.
There was no reason. She does not need to do this for money.
Yeah, no, it had to be a solid script.
She had to feel strongly about it. And just from the trailers, I'll say... she's always been an advocate of women's roles and women of a certain age, especially because she's no longer 20. And so finding good, meaty roles for women over a certain age, that's hard to do. So I'm hoping that something in this said this is a good project. This is going to be a good film.
And she can still kick ass at this age. And the same thing it reminded me of, like, they want to recast Xena, and they was like, no, Lucy Lawless is like 45.
Lawless,
she's fine. She's kicking ass in Ashes the Evil Dead. But Jamie Lee Curtis, like, yeah, it's great that she's back, because she's always been. I would never find her a great actress, but I find her a damn solid actress. Like, I always see Jamie Lee Curtis, no matter what I'm watching. But she always gets everything.
She's a really good. I think she's a really good genre actress.
Oh, God, yeah.
I think her strength is actually, and I think there's a part of her that maybe knows it. She does really well in genre stuff. She does really well in horror films. And you're right. Part of that is the element of she is Jamie Lee Curtis, but the essence of her fits your quintessential horror heroine.
Absolutely.
The strength. She's
never a weak character.
She's never a weak character, but she's very relatable. She has that girl next door thing, but she's never, not slutty, not, which I hate that that's a trope, but it's true. She's very likable. And she's not, even when she was younger, she's attractive, but she's like safe attractive. She's non-threatening attractive. And so men still feel like I have a chance with her, and women don't feel threatened by her. She seems modest. She seems funny. She seems like she's the kind of girl you want to hang out with. Or she hits all those little checks in the box that makes somebody sellable too. Anyway,
do we want to talk about the Rob Zombie Halloweens?
We did. We talked about them a lot.
How terrible they are. I want to directly address them.
You want to directly address Rob Zombie?
Yeah.
We can tag him in this. Let's when we post to Twitter, can we tag Rob Zombie and say, Rob Zombie, we have a message.
A message you've never heard before. You don't know one likes these.
Stop casting your wife. She's lovely. Stop casting her.
Yeah, dude. Seriously, you gotta stop that. And
she's hot. Stop casting her.
I just wish that the movie had been better. I just feel like it's like not every movie he needs to do is about fucking rednecks.
That's his.
I know that's his thing, but I feel like he could have done more with it.
But this is where I come back to. He needs somebody else collaborating with him. He needs somebody to rein him in.
He needed somebody with another key, so to speak.
Because he does again. His visuals are stunning.
The visuals were great.
He understands how to craft a picture.
Just some of that dialogue just absolutely kills it for me. And that's the thing. It's like the first hour is just like a bunch of degenerate rednecks with Michael Myers as like a weird little kid. I don't know. I feel like they were better than Resurrection. I'll give them that.
Yeah.
Resurrection is a badly made movie.
It's not a good movie.
And what drives me nuts about that is, one, it's director of Halloween 2, the first Halloween 2.
Yeah, which blows my mind.
That's the same. Yeah, it's the same person.
That was one of those movies that got directed by him, but it was really Carpenter doing most of it.
Sitting in the back, kind of like, why don't you look at this?
Why don't you do this?
Kind of like George Lucas, kind of half directing.
Kind of like Toby Hooper with Poltergeist.
Yeah.
But you have to wonder too. I mean, it's also like, okay, fine, yeah, sure.
But Halloween 2 had a decent enough script to go with, even if it is a lot of suck.
Decades later, haven't you learned anything?
And what drives me nuts about Halloween 8 or Resurrection, whatever you want to call it, is it's one of those movies where they're presenting something, but they have no idea how that works, like the webcam and the live stream. Whoever wrote it and anyone involved with it has no idea how those worked.
Nope.
And like this would be such an important thing, and it's a in the house thriller with that of we're strapped inside. It's like, how about you get up and walk out the door? This is one where you literally can get up and leave.
Yeah.
Like there are some points where like what's your face is on the roof. It's like, all right, you're 10 feet from the ground, just jump and walk away.
Yeah.
Like you could, like, and of course that could happen in many of the other Halloweens. Like
And
Lori goes
the
back
cops
in to
is
fight
not
Mike when she
immediately
could have just
called.
walked out and left.
Yeah.
Stupid people making stupid decisions in a stupid film.
And the cops could have been called like 5 minutes.
And they never even looked over the house before they went in. Like they set up that fake stuff for him, but how they don't know that Michael Myers is living underneath his own house.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, let's look to the right. Oh, hey, look, here's a pile of bones. It's one of those things where just like it's so just badly done that it pisses me off. It's like watching a bad comedian in a movie. It's supposed to be about a comedian. It's like, why are people laughing? This is awful.
But it's also it's another effort of, we went through a period in the 2000s of that was the 2000s.
That was 2002 or so.
Yeah, it's early 2000s. We went through this period in the early 2000s where there was this marriage of technology where we were trying to integrate technology into our films, and we're trying to.
The internet's cool, kids.
Fear.com.
Fear.com. Oh my
I think it's the same year or so.
Whoa. Fear.com is a fucking masterpiece.
Shut up.
Fired.
Fucking love that
Fired.
movie.
I saw it once and I'm like, I'm done.
It is a genuinely good movie.
I just rewatched it because I thought maybe I was too hard on this movie. No, I was not.
What do you remember those movies? No one ever turned on the fucking lights.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a 90s trope, but in a 2002 movie where it's like, turn on the light.
Turn on the fucking lights, man. You see, even Matilda says, turn on the fucking lights. She doesn't even know what's going on because she's a cat and she thinks that they should turn on the fucking lights. That's, yeah. It's in that weird time where you had where you had these things happening in technology. You had the internet. You had enough stuff happening where you kind of you feel like you have to acknowledge it, but you don't really understand what it
is. That script reeks of like a 50-year-old.
I was gonna say, like an older white male
who just old white.
No idea.
old white guy who's like, this is how the kids are, right? The
that's-
kids like this.
And I hate to say
LL
this,
Cool
but,
J, the kids like that.
Wes Craven was a lot like that in one of his last movies. Sold the Kid
yeah,
or whatever.
that was his last movie, right?
He wrote that so badly, and I feel
You
bad.
guys
Wasn't
don't
good.
know how this works.
Wasn't good.
Halloween 6, producer's cut versus theatrical cut. You think it fixed the movie at all, or just made it slightly
I won't
less
say
bad?
Are we putting rouge on pigs, basically, is what I'd say.
But it made it watchable. I thought it was pretty decent, but I feel like the original script was way better because it even got Donald Pleasance excited, apparently.
No, yeah.
I feel like that there was a good base there that just got completely boned up. Just
But
fucked up.
it's a problem with, I think, a lot of horror films in general. Like, you look at part 4, they set up something really cool.
Yep,
and then part 5 happened. I think that's a problem across a lot of franchises. Like, and it has to do with the revolving door of directors and writers. I mean, shit, you can look at Harry Potter and say the same thing.
David Yates.
I
Like
think,
the back
in my
half
opinion,
of those.
the worst version of that happening is what they did with Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddy's Dead. They fucked that up so bad. And I'm a big Nightmare fan. I fucking hate Freddy's Dead. I will not watch it. I own it. I watched it like one time. It is garbage.
Yeah.
I feel something about part 5. I can't remember anything that happens in part 5.
Child is a fucking masterpiece.
Yeah, James Child.
5, actually, yeah.
Super Freddy.
That's in that one. Say so much I forget. Like, I know it exists. That's
You know what?
about
You're
it.
walking home now, Bob.
I had a little series that I don't watch.
That's why I like the recording in my place.
Oh, damn. So I'm stuck. Yeah.
I think it's something that horror suffers from in general, which is the revolving door.
Oh, God.
It's so rare that you have, and I mean, there's one thing that I will give Rob Zombie some credit for. He writes and directs his movies. He writes and directs the sequels.
And I'll say this because I do love Rob Zombie in a lot of
Oh
respects.
no, I have a deep affection for Rob Zombie.
I am so excited
don't
for
get me
that
wrong.
Devil's Reject sequel.
Me too. I'm one of the 10 people who likes House of a Thousand Corpses.
I like it better than
Dude,
Devil's.
Thousand Thousand Corpses.
I love it. I love it.
It's a fun house.
Ridiculous. And I love it. Yeah, it's silly. It's fun. It's so ridiculously off the rails.
Yeah, that's why, like, the
love
first
that-
time I watched Devil's Rejects, I'm like, this is crap. But then I went to watch it again, I'm like, no, this is fine.
Yeah.
But I always went in expecting Thousand Corpses.
That first-
and tonally, it was...
Oh,
I
yeah,
know,
he
yeah.
shifts
Sorry,
the tone, yeah.
That first scene in fucking House of Thousand Corpses.
Oh, it's my favorite thing!
Fuck your
Fuck
mama.
your mama! Fuck your grandmama! And most of all, fuck you! It makes... I will watch that scene just when I need a smile.
Yep.
That whole sequence is
Or
so
when he's
ridiculous.
accosting that child.
Yes.
Tell me why you hate clowns. I'm gonna kill your whole fucking family.
Don't you like clowns, son? Aren't we fucking funny?
Rates back to Halloween, because
Like
there's PJ
this
Souls.
about clown business? Did I stutter, bitch? Yeah.
To PJ Souls, so we're like totally back to Halloween 1.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah. But I give Rob Zombie credit. His movies are his movies.
And there was definitely a vision.
Yeah.
Whether I
Sometimes
thought
it's cross-eyed, but it's a vision.
the vision
But he's-
was kind of shitty, but it was vision.
But he has a vision.
It's at least I can sit through both of those movies. The original cut of Halloween 6, I can't. It's just too damn disjointed.
I will when
And
I'm
you get those
tweeting
random,
it and
like-
making fun of it, and also I've had like 5 glasses of wine.
Also, let's just thank God Tommy Doyle survived. Tommy Doyle survived.
Tommy Doyle survives and Ben Tramer doesn't.
Yay.
Man, Ben Tramer, our hearts go out to you. Wherever you may be.
Wherever you may be.
Hopefully
brother.
surviving in Halloween 2, too. Halloween 2, 3.
What do we even call it? Well, it's just Halloween.
Halloween
But it's-
18?
Yeah, Halloween.
Well, the big spoiler for Halloween is
Wait,
that
I don't want to
he
hear
takes
spoilers.
off the mask and it's fucking Ben Tramer
The whole time.
full time. Ben Tramer,
what you're
40
saying.
years later.
You're
No,
making
it's
a
not
joke off
really
what
a
just
spoiler.
Can I unplug
Yes.
my ears?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a Ben Tramer joke.
Okay. Well, I don't want spoilers, man.
Guys,
I
like
would
Ben
never-
Tramer is in the
I
killer
would
at the
never
time.
intentionally spoil something. I did not mean.
Except earlier when you did that with Venom.
Hey, he did it too.
Yeah.
I know, that's why I
Venom
was
sucks.
covering my ears when you were both talking. I have remained you know how rare it is that I'm unspoiled
I
or
know
something?
very little about the new Halloween, so. Michael
I
Myers?
know everything, and I'm still very excited.
There, and on that note,
Yes. We should wrap it on up.
Yeah,
so.
it's new one's gonna be
new one's gonna be...
great.
Yes.
We're gonna be seeing it maybe at the Cinerama with some chocolate popcorn.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
Bitches.
We'll find out.
Should we say where the people can find us?
Of course.
Where can the people find us, Bob?
Why? It's cityofgeek.com. This podcast is up on SoundCloud, so you can...
So
At some point, iTunes. We're
and I said
figuring
one
that
on
out.
iTunes.
yeah, iTunes when they decide to let us through, right?
Assholes.
Yeah,
Fucking
well, we
us.
need the logo to the right size. And then...
Twitter.com/CityOfGeek.
and Facebook/CityOfGeek.
And if they,
Instagram too. There's nothing on there. I'm still trying to get that fixed.
Yeah, I'm going to set up a Tumblr here soon.
if they want to find us individually,
Excuse me. Get some Bob Foster on Facebook because I don't post on anything else at the moment.
You can add Cody Masco on Facebook, but I get political.
I'm fairly active on Twitter, so if you're interested in any of the random bullshit I say, you can find me on @SeattleScreams. Cool.
Is that with an S or a Z?
It's with
Edgy?
no, I'm not edgy. I'm not cool, man. I'm not cool. Are you kidding me?
She tried to dab her. Like, that's how uncool she is.
I did not
No,
try
I'm
to
kidding.
dab.
I'm not gonna lie. I would believe it.
That I'm not cool, or that I tried to dab.
Try to dab. Dab on the haters.
No, but you'll see. You'll get an idea of actually how much I do drink because I post a lot of pictures of all the times I'm drinking. Words are hard.
Do we
What's
even
our-
have a theme for our next podcast?
No.
Oh,
So-
you meant theme, not
Yeah.
theme.
So hold back to and hopefully on the
Battle of the Slashers.
we could do that for Halloween.
Yeah, we could do that for Halloween.
That might be
But
kind of fun.
yeah, we should have
Trick or
everything up for
treat!
Halloween here soon.
or treat!
For this movie, I'm working on a article for about the best 10 deaths in the Halloween series.
And-
We'll have reviews up and hopefully get a YouTube channel started soon. That's something we're working on right now.
Doing a live midnight
Oh.
screenings right after.
Yeah, or at
Right
least
after.
putting the recording up right after.
Yeah, pretty much.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But we just droned on for so long. Thank you for listening the entire time as we talked about Halloween and went all over the place. Didn't really go movie by movie. So if you're infuriated by that, I'm sorry, but fuck you. But yeah, just go ahead and find us
I would
online.
like to point out I tried.
I didn't.
And Halloween 3 is a goddamn masterpiece.
That's exactly fucking true.
I respectfully disagree.
And one final time, justice for Ben Tramer.
Jason Momoa, shirtless.
Ben Tramer, shirtless.